Good morning, everyone. It's Alice, and well, it might not be morning where you are, but it's morning where I am at this particular moment, and today we're just gonna do another chill reading vlog. So I have the day off, which is good because I'm feeling a little croaky, for lack of a better word. I can feel the beginnings of like the flu or just like a cold. I don't know what it is. Hopefully it's not going to be too bad. It's that time of year where everyone gets sick, and it's gotten around to me, I guess. So I'm going to have a very chill, relaxed day, and hopefully this will just sort itself out. The plan for the day, besides probably drinking quite a lot of tea, is to just relax and read, which is, if you've been on this channel a lot, that won't be surprising because I do this a lot when I'm also not feeling under the weather. But I'm gonna do some reading, and I love this time of year. October is one of my favorite months, and I love reading slightly like spooky but also cozy books. So that is the plan, and I'm actually currently reading like 2 books, and I want to start a third today, and we'll see if I'll be able to finish all of them. I think I'll be able to finish at least one, and it's a book I actually started last night. It's this one. It's The Butcher and the Wren by Elena Urquhart. So I actually ended up starting this last night when I went to bed because I didn't want to bring the other book that I'm currently reading with me to bed because I didn't want to read it right before going to sleep. The other book that I'm reading is like a horror novel, and it's creeping me out more than I thought it was going to. I haven't read a lot of horror, and I don't read a lot of horror because I get scared easily and the book freaks me out. So I thought I would sort of start something else that's spooky but probably not too bad. So I started this one. Now, this book is interesting. It's like a mystery thriller, kind of like horror-ish book, but not really. It's really mostly like a thriller. And it's a very quick read, so I actually read like most of it last night. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to be too rough, but this is not great. And I'm a little bit disappointed, I'm not gonna lie. It's very quick to read, but there's not a lot to it. And I'm not loving it. I actually ended up like having 40 pages left. You'd think that I would just finish it last night when I was into it, but we got to like the second part and there's like a twist, and I don't mind the twist. Like, I don't mind that kind of twist in mystery novels, but I got really annoyed with how it was done. So I just shut the book and I was like, I don't want to finish this today because I just don't think it's very good. Now, even though I'm not very into this book, I am gonna finish it today, I think, just because it's a very quick read and I don't think it's gonna take me that long. I have like 40 pages left and it's only gonna take me like 20 minutes. So I'm gonna start my day off with this. We'll see if that's a good way to start the day. I don't really know, but I'm gonna read this, the rest of it, and then I'm actually today gonna bake something as well, I think, just because it's the weekend and I like baking. But I think first I'm gonna read the rest of this, and maybe, maybe it'll surprise me. Maybe it'll get better. Well, it didn't get any better, if at all possible. I feel like it may have gotten a little bit worse. I don't know. This book is just like it's not it. I always feel a little bad when I dislike a book. I feel bad talking about it because I know that someone spent a lot of effort writing the book. The author of this is also a co-host of one of my favorite podcasts, and I thought, like, that's why I bought it, and I thought that it had a lot of potential, and I don't really think much of that potential is reached, if you will. And yeah, I just thought this was very disappointing. The story is about a medical examiner and a serial killer, and so we read from both of their perspectives. It like switches between the two, and like I mentioned, there's like a twist in the middle, and I suppose there's a little bit of a twist at the end. I just don't think that, like, I've read quite a lot of mystery thrillers. There's nothing about this that would make me recommend this above anything else. Like, it's just very basic, I think. I don't think it's executed particularly well, and there's just nothing really about it that I think is that good, except that it's very readable and it's a very quick read, I suppose. I guess it has that going for it. And no, I just I don't really know what to say about it. It is very plot driven, so maybe for readers who just love those kinds of books, you might fare better with this. But I don't think the plot is particularly original. I don't think especially the twist in the middle, I don't think it was very well done. I think the end is very abrupt and you don't really get any answers to basically anything. And I don't know. I don't think the characters are well done. I think they're very one-dimensional. I don't think the conversations are well... Like, I don't think that people really talk that way. And you know sometimes when an author wants you to know something and so they put it into a conversation, but it doesn't feel natural. I feel like that's done a lot in this. I don't really feel like we got to know any of the characters or any of their, like... I just don't feel like there's anything here, and I'm a little annoyed. It is also set in Louisiana, in New Orleans, and the only like sense of the place that you get is that it's very hot and that the air feels hot. And that's kind of it. I do think that you can tell, this is a positive thing, I guess. I think you can tell that the author has experience within the medical field. So there are things about like that you can sort of tell is probably correct. And there are some mentions to like other serial killers, which the podcast that she is a co-host of talks about. It's like a true crime podcast, so it talks a lot about that. I just don't think that this is necessary. I don't think this is a necessary novel at all. It doesn't bring anything new to the table. It's not original at all. The characters are really flat. This is very, very harsh, but I have to be like honest about it. It's not a good mystery thriller at all. So I am quite disappointed with this, unfortunately. It was a very quick read though, so it didn't take me too much time, and now it's done. And to make myself feel better, I'm gonna do some baking. My whole apartment smells like cake, and it's wonderful, and all I want to do is eat it, but I have to wait for it to cool down, which is always a struggle, but if these are the struggles of my life, I'll be fine. But while we wait for it to cool down, I thought I would do some more reading, and hopefully it'll be more successful than that other book that I read. The creepy book that I mentioned that I didn't want to read in bed last night before going to sleep is this one. This is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland, and this is just like straight up horror, I think. It's really creepy, and not gonna lie, it's freaking me out a little bit. It's horror, but it sort of veers into urban fantasy. The story is about these three sisters who, when they were young, like kids, they just disappeared for a month and no one knows where they went. And then they came back and someone found them like naked, and one of them had a knife, and they don't remember where they were. And so that's like a huge mystery. It's really sensationalized. And then we meet these sisters as they've grown up and gone in different directions in their lives. The main character that we like, it's one of the sisters who we see the story from. She is still in high school, I think. And the other sisters are older. And there's just a lot of weird stuff going on with them. They seem to have some sort of magical abilities. Like, one of them can kiss a person and they'll just do whatever they want, and their hair has grown white and their eyes have changed color. And like their father, like he went crazy because he thought that, like, I think they disappeared in Scotland, and there's like a folk tale where kids disappear and then they're replaced by changelings or something. He thought that about his kids and ended up committing suicide. And their mother is a little off, and there's just a lot of off stuff. In the beginning of the book, the youngest sister sees this man who is wearing like the skull of a bull, and he appears several times. He's really freaky and scary. And the eldest sister disappears. They go to her house and like a corpse falls out of the ceiling, and there's like these flowers that grow on everything, like all the corpses and all, like the one of the sisters has like a wound and there's a flower that grows in the wound, and it's just very creepy. The point where I'm at now, and the reason I didn't want to read it before bed, is that they're being chased in the part that I'm in, and it was just a little bit too scary for me. Maybe I'm a little fragile when it comes to these things, but I can really picture it, and so it's freaking me out. I do think this is the kind of horror that I like, though, where it's like slightly magical and you don't quite know what's going on. I kind of like that. I don't know if I like sort of slasher horror. I don't really know. I haven't read a lot of horror, but this is doing a lot for me. I think one of the reasons I like it is that it has this sort of like dark fairy tale vibe, which I really like. I like the writing as well. I think it's pretty good. I don't know if this is going to be a new favorite necessarily, but I am very much enjoying it in like the way you can enjoy things that are really scary, I guess. I have about like 120 pages left of this though, and so I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this today, because if it freaks me out too much, I'm going to have to take breaks. And I also, because this is quite creepy, I just feel like reading something a little cozy today. So I do want to try and read this graphic novel, which is the cutest thing I think I've ever bought. The story is about this garlic person who lives in a village of vegetables, and he's like friends with a witch, and a vampire moves into like close to the village, and the village folk want garlic to go like confront the vampire. And I just think this is gonna be delightful and like a quick, cozy, nice read. It looks very autumnal as well. I think there's just something about like farms and vampires, obviously, that is very autumnal. I hope the garlic and like the vampire makes friends or something. I think that would be really cool. And I love the way the characters are drawn. I just think it looks great. I think this is gonna be absolutely amazing. I might use this as like a break from this, just to read something not as scary. I do kind of want to read this all in one go as well though, so you know, we'll see. But I am gonna do some reading now. I'm not gonna lie, I do feel not great and my throat is killing me, but I think just like cozying up on the couch with some books, maybe it's gonna help, and then eventually I'll get to eat my cake, which hopefully tastes as good as it smells. I'm not gonna lie, I do not feel great, so I'm gonna go to bed, even though it's like way too early. Might eat another piece of cake before I go to bed, actually. That cake was so good. I've never made that cake before. I've had it, but I've never made it from scratch. And it was way better than I expected, and it was, I think I've had this kind of cake when I was like growing up and my grandmother made it. I feel like I have some memories of that, and I remember loving that cake, and it tastes very similar, which makes me feel nostalgic and also makes me feel a little better. Another thing that makes me feel better, and that I cannot tell you how much this has cheered me up, this book is the cutest thing I've ever read. It's so sweet, and I feel like I read it at the perfect time, and it only took me like half an hour to read, and it's like the best half hour I've had with like reading for such a long time. I just think this is so cute and wholesome, and it might be one of my favorite graphic novels that I've ever read. I love this. It's so sweet, and the characters are wonderful. We have this anxious garlic, we have a witch named Agnes, we have a really shady celery, and we have a carrot who is a really good friend, a vampire who turns into a bat, and it's about gardening and just witchcraft, and it's the sweetest thing I think I've ever read. I'm gonna give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. This is easily one of my favorite books that I've read this year. I love it. I also know that there's a sequel, so that makes me really excited. I'm gonna get that ASAP. This isn't the kind of story that's gonna surprise you, probably, but so good. Really, really loved it. I did also read another chapter in this. Honestly, this is getting kind of scary, and it's freaking me out a little bit. We are at a point in the story, though, where things are really taking off, so I actually think I'm going to take this with me to bed. I am so tired that I think I'm going to pass out no matter what I read or see before I go to sleep, so I don't think it really matters that it's scary, and I'm very curious as to how this is going to finish. But yeah, this was a very interesting reading day. Like, the first book that I finished was just not it. This is a new favorite, and this is like really enjoyable but also super scary. So all in all, pretty successful reading day, and I have done quite a lot of reading, which I'm very happy with. I'm gonna go pass out in my bed now, though. Maybe take some tea with me, and I feel like I could sleep for like 20 hours and that it still wouldn't be enough. So I'm gonna go do that. Thank you very much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned in this and what you thought of them, especially if anyone else also loves this. I would love to gush about it because it's wonderful. That's gonna be it for me today, though. I'm gonna take my croaky butt to bed, and I will see you soon. Bye!